Hello. What happens when you take two very passionate and very opinionated ladies and you put them together with OU football? What do you get? You get Talk Sporty.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm
Hey,
Dana and this
I'm
is
Shawn.
Hi Shawn. It is I'm happy to be talking to you. This is season 3, episode 6, and we are visiting with you after the OU Tulane football game. It was yesterday. So tell
Yes.
me your overall take, Shawn. What did you think?
Well, you were there.
It was hot. Let me tell
So,
you that first. Hot. Capital H, capital O, capital T. It was very
I,
hot.
yeah, I kind of wonder if towards the end of the game, that affected the players some.
It sure might have.
Hmm.
Yes, it sure might have. And I'm sure they were extremely hot down on the field.
Yes.
I'm up top and thought, oh, there'll be a breeze. There was not
No breeze.
a breeze. The flags were flying,
Okay.
but we didn't feel a breeze. And there was not a cloud in the sky. We kept looking, thinking, if there just be a cloud occasionally to block out the sun.
Uh-huh.
None. Zero. I don't remember seeing any clouds
So
whatsoever.
super sunny the whole time.
Yes. And it was like 93 degrees, but it
Okay.
was extremely hot. It felt like we were in a sauna, which we
Okay.
were.
Hmm.
And we didn't have all the clothes that the
I
players
know.
had. They had to have been hot. I shouldn't
Remember,
complain, but I'm an old lady. I can complain a little bit.
remember at ladies' clinic when we were trying on like the helmet and the pads, and you're just like, oh yeah, they are
It
going to get hot.
they had to have just been
Hmm.
sticky, sweaty,
Yeah.
wet. They just had to have been because I was. I
Yes.
had on shorts.
I guess that's the one thing about camp is at least they're practicing in the heat of the dead part of summer and that. So
Right, right.
they've been out there, but
Well, it made me very thankful that the first 2 games had been
night
night
games
games. Yes,
for sure.
yes. I mean, that's what one of the gals that I sit next to, Terry, we were both talking about. Here we are complaining, and yet it's probably 10 degrees cooler than it would have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, in
Correct.
the middle of the day. So we should be
That's true too. Oh gosh. So yes, I wasn't there. I watched it on TV, and which of course, there's I can rewind it if I need to. I hear the
Yes.
commentators,
There
so
were
I
a few
hear a few
times I'd
things.
text you, "What happened? Tell us
Yeah,
what happened,"
all
because
right.
we didn't necessarily get to see the replay.
Yes, but I thought it started off really strong. Really happy with how it started off.
Yes.
Looked
Me too.
great.
Uh-huh.
There's Gavin Sawchuk running. First 3 plays he was part of. He got a throw. He was making some yards. We got a first down. Yay! You know, um, scored the first series, right?
Yes.
Went
Yes.
right on down the field and scored.
Uh-huh.
And using up clock. We're not just so. Yeah, it was better for sure than the Houston game.
Yes.
I
I
think
agree.
all around it was still better, even with the hiccups we had.
Well, yes. Well, and like you were saying, the first half, we were up 21-0.
Right.
Our defense held nice and steady until that
Hmm.
very last possession right before half.
Hmm.
With Tulane, and they were able to go down. I think they got a pass interference call that
Hmm.
did not appear to be pass interference on our
Right.
team,
Right.
but that gave them a first down. And
Hmm.
then well, you are the one that told me what happened on the goal line. We just knew we didn't realize they changed quarterbacks, but our
Yes.
defense looked a little discombobulated.
Uh-huh. They
And
did, didn't they?
then their quarterback's throwing a pass in the corner of the end zone and they catch it for a touchdown.
Hmm.
And it's like we weren't expecting that. And then I think you texted and said they told you what happened on the TV.
So the commentator said that this is a quarterback that they typically use in running situations, like kind of like I mean, not necessarily doing the belldozer, but like when we would bring Bell in, we were going to run it, right? And we would bring him in down at those goal line situations too. And so this is a quarterback. They said, oh, bring him in for running situations. And so obviously the defense noticed that this different quarterback was in. But what was so funny is he didn't run it. And that's what he usually does.
Right. He passed it.
Yeah, he passed it.
A complete pass. It was completed for a touchdown.
Right.
So, and we were kind of like, wait a minute. We had been able to hold them until that last little drive.
Which, of course, came about because of the pass interference, which...
What did the commentators say?
They didn't really commit one way or another. I mean, they talked about the ball being uncatchable.
Right. Wasn't it an overthrow? If I remember correctly, it was a way overthrow. Like not a yard, but like 5 yards, 8 yards.
Yeah.
And that has supposed to be part of the catchable. If it's uncatchable, you're not supposed to get tagged for an interference. You couldn't catch it.
Of course, Brett and I were saying it doesn't seem like that matters anymore, especially if the ball's kind of in the field of play. If it's like way out of bounds, they maybe wouldn't do it. But I mean, and also RJ was going up for it and like reaching back, like he's, going to try and make I mean, it looked to me.
He wasn't face guarding the receiver.
He was making a play on the ball. Granted, he, moved back, but I mean, he's making a play on the ball just as much as that, big tight end was, but whatever, 2 weeks in a row, we've had that happen.
Right. We may just see more of that. It may be one of those things we have to say, well, it's just, they're going to call it. So we're going to have to not touch them.
Exactly. In fact, Brett and I were watching one of the games later and something kind of similar. And we both look at each other and we're like, oh, well, if that had been the Sooners, they would have thrown a flag. and in this game, they didn't throw the flag. So, kind of funny. But, and both times it led to a touchdown, right? I mean, against Houston, didn't it lead to, So,
it gives them that first down, 15 yards. And then, because if I remember correctly, that pass was on I want to say a third down. So they were either going to have to go for a fourth down or kick a field goal.
Right.
But instead they get the ball and then they score on us. It was still another play or two, I think, before they scored. But, it made it 21-6 at halftime.
Yes.
But our offense...
Because they totally missed that PAT.
Ooh. Oh, I know. It's like... And it... Again, we didn't see much of a replay on that, but it looked like he was worse than the kid that kicked for chicken.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw on Twitter, that it was like a kicking for chicken.
Well, that's what everybody in our area, we were like, put the kicker for chicken out there. Well, but he's a Sooner. Don't put him out there.
Yeah.
But he did better.
No, it went under the crossbar. And that's later on in the game, I thought, and they finally did kick a field goal, but I thought, they're not going to try and kick any field goals because they'd missed one and then kicked that PAT under the crossbar. And I thought, oh, they're going to be gun shy to put their kicker out there.
Back out there. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Right, exactly.
Well, so then we come back. It's the second half, and it seems like this happens all the time. The other team made halftime adjustments. And it seemed like we were just kind of happy with what we were doing. And so why would we make any kind of halftime adjustments? And we
that
get
is
the ball.
What it seems like.
We run down, we score a field goal, which I wish we could have gotten a touchdown. But we get a field goal, so it's 24-6. And then we just kind of let them score. I mean, they take some time off the clock and they go score a touchdown. And then... they get the ball back. Again, our offense was anemic. After that little field goal, they were anemic until the very last, 5-6 minutes of the game, the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that pick six didn't help at all, right?
No.
That put them within 5.
Yes.
5, right?
Yes. And if they'd made the 2-point conversion, which they missed, they would have been within 3. I mean, that play alone, that pick six, they'd scored 7 in the third quarter and then 6 in the second quarter, 7 in the third quarter, and then 6 in the fourth quarter. Go for the 2, don't get it. It made the game incredibly too close to me.
Yes. And then thankfully we, got back in gear. But like you said,
Right.
anemic. That's kind of what our offense came out the second half like. We had just been, going, and one of the first things I noticed, I mean, like I said, Gavin Sawchuk came out. He was running better. Javante ran great, but Jackson was running more, and they had
Yes.
they had some draw plays, made lots of yards on draw play, had a great RPO. In fact, that RPO might have been, I can't remember exactly, but he scored or got a lot of yards off of it. And then in the second half, I'm like, what happened to the draw? It was working, the quarterback draw.
So why did we quit?
But then when we started moving again, he had ran probably not so much designed runs as he was scrambling a couple of times, but he had the most yards of any guy on our team, which I like that he can run, but I'd like to see us be able to, get that kind of production from our running backs, because like you said, you texted how you were worried about how much he was getting hit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he is going to get hit. If they're going to put him out there and run him, he is going to have to expect to get hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's a big guy, and I know he's tough, but gosh, we don't want him to get injured.
Right.
But if that's what position if he's going to be a running quarterback, he's going to have to do that. So,
yeah. Well, also, he was getting put on the carpet by the defense quite a bit that second half too. It was like it seemed like the O-line looked much improved the first half, and then the second half, I'm like, where did they go?
Right. What happened?
Because also, our running game couldn't do anything. We started having those 3 and outs, the longer, distance for third downs, which our third down conversion percentage was much, much improved.
Yes, it was much improved.
Much improved.
But yeah, like you're saying, we just kind of stalled. We just kind of didn't do anything, and we seemed like, that's okay. We're ahead. It's not a big deal. Until he throws that pick 6, and then it's like we're barely ahead now.
Yeah.
We've messed around and let them get close again. I did like the two running back sets. We saw more of that, like with Javante Barnes, and Gavin Sawchuk was in there some. Javante seems to be more explosive.
Yes.
I'm wondering if he will get the start maybe against Tennessee.
Oh, true.
I don't know, but he at least seems to be one of those that's he's happy to take the hits and just try and muddle up through the middle.
And he's bigger than Gavin.
Yeah. Well, and then Taylor Tatum came in, and there were several 2-back sets with him, and with Jackson being a runner, then they had to respect 3 guys with legs, which I thought that seemed to offset their defense, at least in the first half. And maybe some of their halftime adjustments were to try and get adjusted to that.
True.
Taylor they maybe didn't expect it right at first.
True. Taylor is also not afraid to block.
Right.
And part of that may be freshman, and I'm trying to, work to stay in this depth chart, which, hey, great, go for it. But yeah, he's not afraid to block. And I don't always key on watching Javante and Gavin in their blocking. I think Javante is a better blocker than Gavin. Gavin's smaller.
Right.
Too.
That's what I would say too. But again, I'm like you. I tend to follow the ball. So I don't necessarily notice what the other running back, how well he is blocking. Yeah.
It just seems like even last week or the week before, there were a couple times, and then this week too, when Jackson had a long run, and I saw when Tatum was in there, and he'd put a good block on the guy. So, we have 3 guys who can, play running back. And when our offensive line, and they're still gelling. I mean, I wrote down the guys. So Logan Howland started at left tackle, but he very quickly got pulled, and they moved Sexton over
from left guard, right, to left tackle.
Yeah. And so Ozetta?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've heard anybody pronounce it.
Okay.
But Heath Ozetta or Ozetta.
He played left guard. Bates played center, which we can talk about Bates from last week a little bit. And then Wee Woo, I think that's how you say his last name, played right guard, and right tackle was Tarquin for the most part. But Tarquin, he's the one who twice was lined up too far twice.
In the backfield, right?
Yes. And okay, happens the first time. And he's playing right. They kept talking on TV how the left side was getting burned. But Brett said that part of the reason Tarquin was lining up off the line is because he had to do that because he was getting burned. And so if he's right at the line, the guy was getting around him more. So he's playing back closer to the quarterbacks. So, I mean, that was Brett's perspective. Brett did not play offensive line, but he did play quarterback. But it was just funny because they were just talking about how our left side was having problems. They showed one time where Beatonbow was griping at the line, and they're like, well, yeah, he's giving the left side, a piece of his mind. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, Tarquin twice got flags on him. And why is he not yelling at the right side? And for some reason, and maybe because I'm not watching all the plays like that, it seemed to me like they were coming around that right side more than the left. But anyway, the commentators were saying our left side was having some issues. And hopefully we'll get some of the guys back.
That was one of the things that, like you're going through the list of who plays what position. And Tarquin normally plays left tackle.
Okay.
And so they have pulled him. So Jake Taylor is the guy that was injured. I think he didn't play the first game, played a little second game.
Yes.
But came out again, still injured. So my understanding is they've taken Tarquin from left tackle and moved him to right tackle while they're getting Jake Taylor healthy. But he really is supposed to play left tackle. So he's already like playing on the opposite side.
Yeah, he's just having to figure out how he's going to move his body for that.
Yeah. So he would be, I guess, more like a mirror image of what he's what he normally is, which would make it hard. So if we can get Taylor back playing, I'm assuming Tarquin goes back to left tackle, and Sexton can scoot over and be left guard like he's used to.
When there's that one other guy who got hurt in the first game.
Hickman at center?
Yes.
Yes. Hopefully he'll be ready to play center. And then I'm assuming Josh Bates will just be like the backup. I'm assuming that means Josh would go in and play only if needed or if necessary.
Yeah. And then Hatchett, that kid who was a transfer from Washington, he had bicep surgery.
So he's out for the whole season. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Which is a big loss. Yeah. But if we can get Taylor and Hickman healthy, then Logan Howland, who didn't play very many snaps, becomes a backup, and and I guess who's the Heath Ozeta then would become a backup too.
Yeah.
He would go back to that, but I'm not sure.
And they said Spencer Brown played a little bit at right tackle, but I guess he wasn't didn't play any better than Tarquin.
Right. That was what I got out of reading through things like that. So
I don't
know. It's been fruit basket turnover.
Oh, it has. And
poor guys. And I mean, we need them. And we need them to be in the positions that they're the most comfortable playing.
But and offensive line, it's always interesting for the pros, for college. That's the group that everybody always talks about, how they need to gel the most. That
Right.
they work as a unit, I guess, more than any of the other groups. And when you're trying to figure out the right combination, how hard it is on all the offense, not just those linemen. And so, like I said, I mean, they talk about that in the pros all the time. And it's something that we're going to have to work through. I'm kind of worried about this, next week. And it doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to be able to do it eventually. Like we've talked about over and over again, we have faith in our O-line coach, but to get these guys able to work together, is something. Bates did say after the game last week, and you maybe saw it. Did you see how he apologized to the team?
I heard that he did. I didn't see what he said. But
yeah, he just said he said that I shouldn't have done that. That was so wrong. I am going to not do that again. And I apologized to the team, and I told them I'm going to earn your trust. So he kind of is like, I get it. You don't necessarily trust me right now. And I really messed up big. So, he took full ownership of that, which is a big deal too for a freshman.
Right. He's young. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's young.
So I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Well, and I thought he never reached up and even touched his chin strap through the game. I'm like, you keep your hands
helmet on. Even
if
when
you do,
come to the
somebody needs
I'm not
to hit
taking
you.
it off.
Exactly.
Oh, that's too funny. That is too funny.
Well, yes, once the I guess once the third quarter was over and we're kind of in a dogfight again, then I know that we picked up in the fourth quarter, and I was quite impressed with. That's when we got a big interception.
Yes,
and that was fun.
That was fun.
We hadn't had any takeaways. They'd had a takeaway on us. And Shawn texts me and she's like, we need a takeaway. We need a takeaway. And I'm like, yes, we do. But we hadn't had it.
It worked against Houston because you texted me that. That's right. And right after you texted, we got one. And Kenai, he's always a part of it.
That's right. And as soon as Shawn texted, like that was as that possession was starting. And lo and behold, we get another takeaway. So you guys, you just need one of us to start that chain. And it's going to happen. So yeah, Kenai gets up. He bats the ball or tips the ball and it goes. Kobe McKenzie then tips it or tries to catch it, right?
Yeah.
And then it falls into Billy Bowman's hands.
And then Billy was so funny because he ran backwards and I think he got a net 2-yard gain on that, but he probably ran 20 yards.
I bet he did.
I'm exaggerating, but
he went backwards and then you said, he went to the other sideline and then he came back. He went to the west sideline and then he headed back toward the east sideline.
It's like, you go, Billy.
Well, they interviewed Kenai Walker after the game. And so they were like, tell us what happened. And he said, well, I knew the ball was going to be coming to my guy because they kept trying to throw to my guy. And he said, I knew it was going to be right there in my face. And so every play I was like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. He said, I saw it coming and I got my hands in the way. And then I thought, I'm not going to get it. And he said, then I look around and I see it's still up in the air and it's not on the ground. And then I see Billy grab it. And so I'm like, I'm gonna set a block for him. I'm gonna set a block for him. I'm gonna knock somebody over so he can make some yards.
That's awesome.
And so he said, I'm so glad Billy got the interception, the takeaway. And the guy who, I think it was Toby Rowland that was talking to him after the game, said, "You can count that as yours." And he goes, "No, it's not my interception. That was Billy's interception."
Yeah.
And Toby Rowland said, it was caused by you. Billy would have never gotten an interception if you hadn't tipped it.
Right.
And so then Kenai was like, "Well, okay, I'll count it as my interception too. We'll share it."
Yeah. Well, just like last week. I mean,
yeah, it takes somebody to tip it up for somebody else to grab it.
Yeah. So
it's excellent.
That was excellent.
And then Jackson Arnold was able to turn the offense on. We hit the on button again.
Right.
And that little scramble play, I wasn't sure, Shawn. I think I had texted you that if they're just going to run it up the middle and set it up for the field goal kicker, when we're only up by 5, we need more than a 3-point score here. Or all of a sudden it's going to be a nail biter to the end. I think that's when I texted you and I'm like, I'm going to be very mad if that's all they're planning on doing. And then he takes off on a quarterback keep.
Yes.
I didn't think he'd get a first down. And then he scores.
It was great. It
was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's definitely a dual threat quarterback.
Well, he is, and he's fast.
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen this speed until this game.
Right?
Yes. And that was one of the things on the post-game interview. They talked to Taylor Tatum. What'd you think? And he's like, "I'm happy to do my part. I'll block, I'll run, I'll catch, I'll do anything. You just tell me what to do. I want to be out there and I want to help. I want to help our team." And then they said, "Did you realize that Arnold really could run fast? Like he had speed, like you guys?" And Taylor started laughing. He said, "Well, he's told us that he could." But we hadn't really seen it. And then he turned the jets on all of a sudden. And he was gone. He scored. He outran them all. Yes. So, yeah, he seemed thoroughly impressed. I'm sure he's seen it in practice. But just the way he talked on the radio was kind of fun.
Yeah. And that's even we talked about it the previous 2 games. When Jackson runs, it's kept the defenses honest. And partly because in those other 2 games, we really had difficulty establishing the run. And so if Jackson was, that dual threat, like you said, they have to, honor the running backs and him as, a pass threat or a running threat. But we were establishing the running game better. And I already said it, but like with the offensive line, I do think they're improving. I do think our offense is improving.
I agree. I think it was definitely a step up from Houston. I don't think we can count Temple.
Right.
Bless their hearts. I mean, it just wasn't. It wasn't really a game, and our backup players played a lot in the second half, and so we've really played Houston and Tulane, and the offense definitely stepped up. We had much more imagination at play calling. We ran some of those 2-back sets, like we told Seth. We told him last week, right here.
Maybe he listened to us.
And they ran some 2 tight end sets. Not a ton. I do think too that they only threw the ball to Jake Roberts once, but I wondered if him catching that touchdown against Houston caused Tulane to key on him.
Could be.
I don't know. He caught it. He was targeted once and caught it, and then I think Bauer was 4 for 4. Again, they were short receptions, but he got a couple of them were first downs that were needed kind of across the middle of the field. Of course, Dion caught the ball very well. And then 2 of the little freshman guys made some receptions.
Yeah, the Zions.
Yeah, both Zions. Yes,
both Zions.
Kearney, I think, and Zion, and it's Reagans. I think I've heard people talk this week on the radio that I was calling him Ragans. Like Ragin Cajun, but it's Reagans, I think. Ragins. Okay. Anyway, both Zions. Both Zions caught some passes. So that's good. I mean, they're true freshmen. They were not expecting to be thrown to the wolves, I don't think, this early in the season. So We really need Nick Anderson to be
We
back,
do.
though.
I did hear he's suited up.
Yes, someone spotted him on the sidelines. I didn't ever see him, but someone around us could find him over there.
Mm-hmm.
But he never got on the field, and I never saw Andrew Anthony. I never saw him. I assume he was suited
I
up, but I
heard
don't know.
Andrell did not suit
He wasn't even suited up.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened the first game? Because he was at least targeted or caught a pass, and like there's been no talk about him. We're just taking it slow. But he played in the first game with Jalil Farouk.
I wonder if he was having pain afterwards, if, some of those metrics that they showed us, in the sports lab.
True, maybe so. But he's just not ready.
Not ready. And they just, like, right now, we don't have to have you and we want you later on. Who knows, right?
Okay.
I don't know. So it would be nice to have him back.
It would, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be anytime soon. If he wasn't even suited up for this game,
yeah, and because all the defenses know to key on Dion now,
so of course Tennessee's going to probably play him man.
Yes,
or
double team him.
They supposedly have a really, really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing. They are fired up. One of the things I read, they, of course, it's game day coming to Norman.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I was reading, it was one of the Knoxville newspapers, and they said that Tennessee has been disrespected because they should be favored to win this game, and the odds makers don't have them favored to win the game.
Oh, really? Oh, that kind of shocks me.
Me too. Well, that made me look up. The odds makers have OU right now as a 4-point favorite.
Huh.
I guess because it's at home. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then this UT paper goes on to say we have outscored our three teams 191 to 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're scary, man. I'm scared.
And one of the teams was NC State, and they were ranked 23rd at the time we beat them 51-10.
Okay, yeah, but Florida State was ranked, in the top 10, and they're at 0-3. And NC State hasn't really looked good, I don't think, this year. So, okay, forget that.
Right. That's kind of what, as I read it, I'm like, the odds makers are looking at that saying NC State, doesn't matter if they were ranked. They're really not that good.
Right.
And of course they beat Kent State over the weekend. I don't remember if it was 71-0
Which
or something
I suppose
like that.
Was maybe like a Temple game, right?
Right. It should have been. Yeah. And so anyway, then they're going on to say that they're going to run their 4 wideout package. They finally have their 4th wide receiver healthy. He hadn't played in the first couple of games for Tennessee. And so, I don't know. As I read it, I'm like, is Josh saying that to hopefully, is he doing that just to mess with us? But he's going to run his 4 wideout package against us and show us that that they can pass the ball.
Okay. Well, I will say that our coverage is still a little soft sometimes.
Yes.
And we're playing what appears to be too far off the receivers. And so if we do that against Tennessee, we're going to get burned.
Yes, I agree. They're going to be faster too. In these first 3 games, we kind of let the receiver catch the ball, and then we'd have 4 guys tackle.
Yeah.
Converge and tackle. And he didn't get
just
much
to contain. We're like paying it.
Yeah. But a faster receiver's going to catch that ball and turn a different route and make some more yards. So I'm like you. I don't understand why we've been kind of playing off and giving them 5 yards to the pass. But we kind of have been.
Yeah, because all 3 schools, even Temple, had times when they had no problem getting that ball to the receivers. Now, some of the receivers, especially Temple, might have had a problem catching it. Houston had some, well, I guess Temple even had some receivers who the ball was there, but they didn't catch it. But I'm kind of like, okay, guys, get on them.
Right.
Get on them. Get
Play a
closer.
little closer.
Don't give them that much cushion. So that, and maybe that was just the philosophy for those games, and it's going to be a different defensive scheme.
Right. And I've wondered, there's been hints all along that we weren't going to show a whole lot of defensive packages early on until we got into the SEC. We don't want the SEC to know what our defense really looks like.
Sure.
But again, they need practice too.
Right. That's kind of my thought process, Dana. I'm like, I agree with you. It's like, okay, well, I see the point. We don't want to give away anything, but we also need to know that we can do it in real game situation.
Right.
But I don't get paid Zach Alley bucks, so.
No, I don't either. And we're not quite as cute as he is. We can't carry the mustache like he does.
We can't do the mustache, but we're still pretty cute if you ask me. So, but our run defense was awesome.
Yes, it was. We held them to what? 106 yards rushing. And I think Tennessee's supposed to have a really good rusher, a really good running back.
Okay.
In addition to their 4 wide receivers that they're going to run as a package. But we have been able to slow that run down in all the games that we've played. We tend, I guess, if anything, we tend to stop the run a little better than we're stopping those passes. Which is good. Yeah, I think we did I think last year, same scenario in that you want to be able to stop one of them really well, and then you've got to work on getting the other one stopped.
Yeah. So what else do you got, Dana?
Well, I loved our defensive line. Grayson Helton was our star last week, and he got the safety, and he got several sacks and hurries and that sort of thing. And this week we had an edge receiver step up, and that's R. Mason Thomas.
Yep.
He stepped up. Again, I feel like our guys were better conditioned, and it was hot, and this was all going on in the fourth quarter, as opposed to the first and second quarter. We didn't seem to get as many quarterback hurries, that sort of thing early on, but in the fourth quarter, R. Mason Thomas owned the quarterback.
Oh my goodness. He like Grayson Halton last week, R. Mason won that game for us.
He did. He came out of nowhere. I mean, he'd been present the whole time. I don't mean that.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, he is on that quarterback. Boom, sack. And then he does it again. And then he does a takeaway. Gets a fumble, a strip fumble. It was wonderful.
He caused the fumble and scooped it up.
Yes. I so wanted him to score, Shawn. I was
know,
like,
me too, right?
What? I mean, that would be such a great accolade to add.
Yeah. And he had a pass breakup. He had 3 total sacks.
Yes.
So his stats, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, which was the same thing. A pass breakup, which was like the play before or 2 plays before the fumble recovery. I mean, he was in on all three of those plays, and he had a quarterback hurry.
Yeah.
He Dana and I agreed. He gets a Talk Sporty game ball.
Yes, Talk Sporty game ball. Yes.
Talk Sporty game ball to R. Mason Thomas.
Yay! And again, hopefully
those.
He's gelling. You see Grayson Halton do great last week, and he played very well this week. I don't want to take anything away from his play this week. But we've got another guy step up this week. So next week, who's going to step up? And hopefully we're going to start seeing it from all of them.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's interesting because I think it was like 2 years ago during camp, I had read, watch for R. Mason Thomas. Watch for R. Mason Thomas. People who were watching camp said, this guy's going to be something. And then, he played a little bit, but at the, those early games, but just not much. And I mean, Ethan Downs is Ethan Downs. Um, and then last year didn't hear too much about him. And so it's so fun to see that growth. And also he's stuck around, right?
Right. Whereas he could have said, oh, I'm going to go
Yeah.
somewhere else. I'll go
Mm-hmm.
play it anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he stayed. And so I'm excited for him.
Me too. It's great. And, Danny Stutsman's always out there doing Danny Stutsman things. So being the tackle leader and all that.
Well, and I think what I saw was he had 12 tackles. He led the team with 12 tackles. It sure seemed like he had 20 or 40.
It did.
When
I
saw the
agree.
stats, I'm like, his name was called every other play.
Mm-hmm.
How was it just 12?
I know.
I mean, and that's a lot of tackles, but I just expected to see a much larger number.
Because it seems like he's in on almost every single
play.
one.
Yes, I have to agree.
Yeah.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
And then Robert Spears Jennings was the second leader on the team. I mean, he was below Danny with 7 tackles, right? Is that what you had? That's what I saw.
I think that's what I saw. Yeah. I have these stats somewhere too. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't take a picture of the. So yeah, I'm going with what you said, Dana.
Okay.
What you said.
And then the defense got 2 more takeaways, and we had 8, so we're up to 10 takeaways in the first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And we need 2 takeaways against Tennessee.
For sure. We need to continue that trend.
We've got to have them, Shawn. We've got to have them.
Yes.
They are a very good team.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Very good. Quarterback's very good. I'm assuming, or I think he's a better passer than any that we've encountered. And I think the little Mensa kid that played it for Tulane was a very good passer. I think we were able to rattle him enough, especially, the longer the defense played. He seemed to be a little more hurried and rushed and, that kind of thing that I don't know that we're going to get with this Tennessee quarterback. Yeah. And I can't say his last name. I think he goes by Nico, which is his first name. His last name is a lot of vowels.
Okay.
And I don't have it written down. I thought, I'm not going to attempt that.
Yeah. No need.
But I think it's Nico.
Okay.
And I think that's his first name. But anyway, I think he's a very good quarterback.
Well, and Heupel is going to. It's a big deal for him. I don't blame him.
Yes.
He played for us. He won a national championship for us.
He was a Heisman Trophy runner-up at OU.
And then he comes back, and he's our OC, and he wasn't ready. I'll just say.
I think that's true, Shawn. He was young, and maybe he got promoted too high too fast, maybe,
Which I will tell you, I was on the Heupel bandwagon before we ever hired him. I had been saying we need to get him here. He is a kid who grew up under a coaching father.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell by the way he played quarterback when he was at OU. He had that vision of the game. Out of so many quarterbacks I've watched, he had this ability. He knew his receivers so well. And he knew that I can throw it where most people will think I'm almost missing it, but I know my receiver can lay out and get that. And I know if I throw it over there, my receiver will get it, but the defender can't. I just saw Josh Heupel make those kinds of throws all the time, and his receivers got them, and he was able to protect the ball that way, but he knew what his receivers could do. So he had that idea of the game, and maybe Stoops didn't let him just run with the offense the way he wanted to also, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe in some ways his hands were a little bit tied, but I wanted him here before 2 or 3 years before we ever brought him in. And then we brought him in, and I'm like, okay, he can go now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were all like, you're not, some of the same things. Like you can't
Mhm.
run the same plays over and over.
Yes.
You've got to call plays that match what your talent is on the sidelines.
Mhm.
If you don't have a great passer, you can't have a passing
Right.
team.
Mhm.
If you don't have any catchers, you can't have you can't have a passing team if nobody
Right.
can catch the ball.
Yes.
But yes, then his tenure was not very long. What was he the OC for 3 years? 2 years,
Yeah,
3
maybe
years?
that. Maybe that. Something like that. That sounds
So
about right.
I'm glad that he's doing well, but
Me
yes, I
too.
would assume he wants to come to Norman and
Sure.
kick our tail.
Of course he
That's what I would
does.
expect out of him. Yeah.
Yes. Why would he not?
Why would
I
he
mean,
not? We
yeah, why
fired
would
him.
he not?
I mean, if you've ever been fired, you're like, I'll show you.
And it's where he helped bring back our program.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's the first national championship since Barry.
Mhm.
That's how long it had been. It had been in the 80s since we had a national
Yes.
championship, and he comes in and wins one Bob's second
Mhm.
year.
Yeah. So
We need
he
another
was
one.
very key on that. So
Yeah.
so it'll be. I'm glad it's a night game.
Oh,
So it
me
won't be
too.
quite so
Oh
hot.
gosh, yes,
So
me
that's
too.
good. That's good.
And game day will be there, so there'll be hype
Yes.
and all that.
I thought game day might be there because if we won, I knew both teams were going to be
Undefeated.
ranked
Okay.
high and undefeated.
I haven't
So-
seen the new rankings.
I haven't either.
I
We
mean,
were
I
15th
assume
before.
we're probably still in that number, and
That's what I figured.
Tennessee was in the top 10. Were they
At
6 or
7?
7, something like that?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody lost above. I don't know that Ohio State didn't play,
Okay.
but I don't think there were any upsets in the upper group.
No, I don't think so either. It
Okay.
wasn't like last week. There
Like
were some
Washington
close
State
games
beat
again.
Washington, but Washington was not ranked in the top 10 or 15.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
They did, and Washington may not even be ranked in the top 25. I'm not sure. I just saw that State beat them.
Okay. Well, they lost their coach.
Right.
And a lot of guys left when DeBoer
I wonder,
left,
did they follow him to Alabama? Did they follow
some, and
DeBoer?
then we got Hatchet, but I think just a lot of them left.
Okay.
So, so talking about Washington State, we were having dinner the other night with our friends Will and Cindy Wright, who are Tech grads, and it was one of the first games of this season. Tech played Washington State, and they said they were just laughing because they noticed that there's a commercial for the Pac-12, and there's like, but there's not a Pac-12, but they said the conference commercial, and so they actually like rewound it because her husband, Will's like, yeah, and Cindy's like, what? And so she wanted to see it. She goes, sure enough, just this whole commercial about the conference. And then the other day on
it's
the
just
radio,
Oregon State and Washington State, correct?
Yes,
That's all that was left. Okay.
Yes, and on the radio,
the Pac-12 is 2.
They call it the Tupac.
Oh.
They're calling the Tupac or the Tupac. And then, but next year, right now, well, no, not next year, in 26, I think, they were going to be the 6-pack.
Okay, are they adding some Mountain West teams? That's what I'd heard.
So like Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State. I said Colorado State already. One other. So anyway, right now, they're going to go from the 2-pack to the 6-pack.
Maybe they get Wyoming, or
and they may be trying to get
I wonder
Air Force.
Because Utah State went with Utah, right?
No, Utah's in the Big 12.
Oh, that's right. So where's Utah State? Maybe they could.
I don't know, but Utah State was all. I mean, if they were in the Mountain West, they're not one of those.
Okay.
Better teams.
Right.
So anyway,
right.
But I just thought that was funny because Cindy.
So they're the 2-pack, and they're going to be the 6-pack,
and they're going to be the 6-pack. Yeah.
That's kind of like the Big 12 that went to 8 and then to 10, and now they're 16. It's not the Big 12, dudes. Count.
Well, I mean, what about the Big 10?
Well,
I mean,
they seem to say they're just big. If you look at their logo now, it doesn't have a number on it.
Okay.
Well, look and see. At least
Okay.
I
Because
noticed
it
it
used
this
to have
weekend.
the
It just
I was
says
the one, and then the
BIG.
G was the 0, kind of, is how it was. But maybe it's just got the
Oh,
BIG and it doesn't even have the 10 in there
well,
anymore,
maybe I
really.
just can't read it right then. Because it
Well,
looks like it just says the big. And I'm like,
yeah. But I'm a
but you're
Michigan
the
grad.
Big
I pay attention
10,
to that.
but you've got 16 teams now. You know,
Yeah.
they're the Big 16.
It's also crazy. Well, and
Oh,
then like the Big 12, um, they've been having these games where they're not conference games because they were already scheduled. And so
right.
Utah played somebody already, and that wasn't a conference game because it was already, on the books. And then Arizona played somebody this week, one of the
Well, they
Kansas
played,
schools, maybe.
Arizona was beaten by K-State.
Okay, but that wasn't a conference game
Well, they
because,
said that on the TV. Okay, because it was
yeah,
Friday night, and they said it's not a conference game. And I'm like,
yeah,
yes, it is.
nope, because it was already scheduled before
So it
they,
won't count in their conference
it won't
ranking.
count in their conference ranking, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because, yes, Arizona played K-State, and K-State just beat them soundly. I
Mm-hmm.
really expected Arizona to look better
Better.
with Fafita at quarterback and that
Mm-hmm.
McMillan kid at wide
Yeah.
receiver. Those two guys are good.
Yeah.
But they didn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
And then UNLV whipped up on Kansas. And I
Yes.
think that was in Kansas. I think
Yes.
so. Yeah, that one was kind of a weird. I didn't expect that either.
Me neither, because actually pre football starting, a lot of people were picking Kansas to be, at least down here, when they talk about who might be the people who are going to start owning the Big 12, because
With OU and Texas
OU
gone.
and Texas gone. And they're like, well, we don't even know. And maybe it's going to be Oklahoma State. And we can't forget about Utah. And of course, you can't forget about Utah. But some of them were saying, well, Kansas. Kansas did well last year. Quarterback's back. How about Kansas? And then, yeah,
Yeah,
lost
they're
to
1-2
UNLV.
the first 3 games of the season.
I mean, how?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we were cheering against LSU. Well, we're cheering against both teams, actually, but
Well, I know. It was like there's LSU and South Carolina. It's like I don't really want either one of them to win, but it looked and I just watched the first part because then I had to drive to Norman. So I watched I guess the whole first quarter. I didn't watch
Mm-hmm.
much of the second quarter because it was time to head to Norman. But to me, it looked like South Carolina was the better team, at least
They
in the
were,
first quarter, first half.
they were
And
firmly in control.
and then I guess at the end they just kind of didn't
Mm-hmm.
hold on to the ball. Is that right? They just let LSU run down and score.
Yeah, and I think they maybe had some turnovers, and then there at the end. So I kind of quit watching because I was like watching the OU game, watching other games, and South Carolina, when they got the ball back, Brett is like, they're not going to be able to get down the field in that amount of time because the quarterback's not really a passing quarterback,
Oh,
is
so
what
they
Brett
needed
said.
to run. Okay.
They did get, far enough down that they could try to kick the field goal. But
And missed
yeah, the
it,
first
right?
half, the first half, they looked like they were going to have LSU's number. Well, how about the Georgia game?
Oh my gosh. I'd gotten
Halftime
home
scores
from
3-6.
Norman and Robin's watching football and I said, I think Kentucky and Georgia are playing. And my husband's like, well, that'll be a blowout.
Exactly.
And we flip over and it's about halftime and it's 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, look at that. That's not a blowout. We better watch
Nope.
this game. It was a really
Mm-hmm.
good game on that night, and it probably
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
But poor Mark Stoops. Why?
Yep.
You got the ball. You got 3 minutes to go. You got to get a first down so you can
Mm-hmm.
kick the field goal, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He turned that ball over to them thinking he was going to get it back, and he never got it
I know.
back.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought you're playing Georgia. You're
You
playing
got to keep the ball.
I can't talk. Arguably the best team in the country.
Yes, and you've held them. the whole game.
Yeah.
Don't give them the ball back.
Don't give them the ball back, because that's what Georgia does, right? And they did this last year. It's like, I think Brett said this one time. He goes, they just play with their food. You know,
like
they
a
play
cat.
with their food, and then they end up winning the game.
Yeah. Oh,
They
well,
just-
yeah, and it was just strange to watch it. You're like, Kentucky really looks every bit as good as Georgia,
Mhm.
yet South Carolina killed Kentucky last week.
Right. No. How is that
so
possible?
How was that possible? And did Kentucky, were they not just prepared for South Carolina?
Mhm.
You know, did they think, oh, this will be an easy game, we're getting ready for Georgia? Did they spend 2 weeks on Georgia?
Right.
But they deserved to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kentucky did. And then you get down your 3 minutes, you don't give a ball back.
No.
You got to get some yardage on third down, and
For
you
sure.
got to kick a field goal on fourth down, or you
Yeah.
got to go for it on fourth down.
That's right. That's what I know. I'm like, oh, bad move. But
Yeah. And of course, if he'd won, it would have been great, but he didn't win.
well,
And-
also, as an OU fan, we kind of want Georgia to lose, because Brett was telling me, and they talked about this during the telecast too, but Georgia is about to beat
Oh, yes.
OU's record.
Yes.
The home
47
winning record.
Okay. I don't know
Well,
what's the home record?
So the home winning record's 45.
Okay.
And because Brett said, well, they're about to beat, I go, okay, we have 47 straight, and
Yeah.
that counts like postseason and everything. And Georgia lost to Alabama last year. There's no way they are even close to being able to do that. They've won 2 in a row now, 3 in a row, whatever. And he goes, no, it's like this home record. And I'm like, okay, well, so Georgia will probably beat OU's home winning streak. But I'm also kind of like, yeah, but 47 straight, it's a record. I get, if it was my school and we were about to beat that record, I'd be all over it too. But there's more games per season now.
Oh, right. So it's each team plays more. You may have 6 home games with each team instead of 3.
And I know people will say, well, that makes it harder, but we did it for longer.
Right, a longer number of years.
Yes.
With different players each year.
Yes. So
with
we did it for
with a different team
longer. And we counted the postseason. So there you go. But,
well, see, I thought it was the 47. I didn't realize it was the 45 home. Okay.
Well,
I didn't clue in either. And I'm like, they're nowhere close.
Yeah.
I was just like you.
Yeah.
Well, dang, we need somebody to beat.
No, not 45 home. I'm sorry, 45 regular season. My bad. If I said
45
home.
regular
45
season.
Regular season.
Okay.
So not counting the postseason.
Not counting postseason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not counting the postseason. So anyway.
Okay. Well, we need somebody to beat them, but Kentucky sure messed that up.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, when you look at the top 10, you see everybody that we have to play, except Georgia. Yes.
Oh goodness, we're getting ready to go through the
There are 6 SEC
gauntlet.
teams in the top 10. This was last week. I haven't seen this week's, but there were 6 SEC teams in the top 10, and we play 5 of them. The only one we don't play is number 1 Georgia, but we play Texas. We play Tennessee. We play Ole Miss. We play
Bama.
Yes, we play Bama. And who's the other one?
Yeah, there was somebody else, wasn't
There's somebody else.
Well, and then like they said,
and then South Carolina's up there close.
Mizzou.
Yes, Mizzou. And South Carolina's up there close. And LSU's going to be up there close. You know?
Yes, I know.
So I see now, early on they were like, oh, the Sooners got the worst SEC schedule of anybody. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then you see, oh, yeah, I think we did.
We do. Oh, and
where's
we have to go to Auburn.
Where's Vandy when you need him? And Arkansas.
Oh,
obviously Texas gets to play Arkansas and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and
probably
Florida.
Kentucky.
Although we do play Florida, don't we?
No, we don't play Florida.
Oh, Florida's not good
so
this year.
They get to play Florida.
Yeah.
And A&M's beating up on Florida.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So who came up with that? Was that really draw names out of a hat, or was that let's screw one of the new partners that comes into the SEC?
Yes, but we don't want to screw Texas because, Mannings and they all played in the SEC.
In the
so
SEC, yeah,
we don't
I
want
think
to
that's
screw,
part of it.
We don't want to screw their little.
And if
little
I
Manning.
hear one more word about Arch Manning and how he threw 5 touchdown passes against who? UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio. I mean, come on. I might could have thrown a touchdown pass against UTSA. Come on.
You maybe could have, actually.
And he threw 5. He threw 5, Shawn. He threw 5. It was his coming out party. Is there going to be do you think he's going to take Ewers' plays?
What do you think? What do you think about that? No, you don't think
Ewers,
so?
yeah. I think Sark has said, Arch will let you play, but it's Ewers' job. Don't you think? If Ewers is really hurt badly or he really screws up, I might let you play. But I can't say that you're the starter.
Because one of the things now, it is OU Texas, but one of the guys on the talk radio down here, an OU fan, and he was talking of preseason about this, and he said, they were actually taking bets on if Quinn Ewers would be the quarterback at the end of the season for Texas.
Okay.
And he said, and I agree with him, that if it goes poorly at some point in time, they'll put Arch in. And if Arch does what he did against UTSA, he's going to finish the season. So he said, especially if it goes poorly the second Saturday of October.
The way it's looking right now, that isn't going to happen.
I know.
We got to get our offense to gel, don't we?
We just keep
our defense is good. They can hold them. They can hold old Ewers, and they can hold Arch Manning, I think.
But just remember that there have been years that they were better than us.
Oh, yeah.
And we whipped up on them.
Yeah.
So
you never know in that game.
Yeah. You never know.
It's like a bedlam.
And vice versa. We were better than them and they whipped up on us.
Oh, yeah.
So it happens. But yes, the SEC Gauntlet is coming down on us.
It starts Saturday at 6:30 p.m.
And it's going to come down hard, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid too. I am too. But we got to play our hearts out.
That's right, we do.
And the crowd can help. We can be loud, we can be obnoxious.
And the students can't leave.
Oh, right, they left at halftime. They were gone. A lot of folks on our side, of course, we were in the sun, like where you were by halftime.
In the shade.
Your area was shaded. The seats shade themselves.
Yes.
That's what we have to peer over to see. There was nobody underneath us.
They cleared out.
And we needed them there.
And hey, I know it was family weekend, but our team needed you.
Yeah.
Because what happened when the second half started, we weren't doing as well.
We weren't doing as well, and nobody got them fired up.
Be there, be loud. I saw somebody post on Twitter, like that Texas Tech game, which was like the loudest ever, right?
That night game.
Yes. Be like that. Do not leave. They count on you. Us old folks count on you.
That's right.
I can't be the only one in the stadium loud.
Well, and I thought surely they'd stripe the stadium or something, but I haven't seen anything like that. Yeah.
No.
I mean, why would we do it for Tulane and not for
know.
Tennessee? With like game day there? Why would we not make some sort of
Of course, they didn't know game day was going to be there.
I guess that's true. They didn't. But
I think it would be fun. Of course, very confusing, I get, but it would be fun if they did the stripes horizontally.
Oh, okay. Like row 1 through 40 is red?
Yeah.
And 41 through 80 is white?
Wouldn't that be fun? I think that would look cool.
That would. It would. It'd be a different way to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd be wrong with that?
I don't know. I do it. I mean,
Let's try
goodness
it.
gracious, Tennessee can checkerboard their stadium.
Right. That's what they normally do. So
Yeah.
why aren't we doing something big? Especially
Yeah.
it's first SEC game. It's our opening game. It's a home
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
Why didn't we plan something?
Yes. Maybe they've got something planned that we just don't know about. Maybe it's going to
Well,
be a surprise.
maybe so. I haven't heard anything about it.
Maybe they're going to surprise us. Let's hope so. One thing I think we need to make sure we don't do
Yes.
is need to make sure when our field goal kicker is up to kick a 50-yard field goal and he actually gets it through the goalpost that we haven't had a delay of game.
Yes. And Shawn, I don't know. I think I texted you during the game, like,
Mhm.
whose responsibility is it to watch the clock
I don't
when
know.
you're the field goal kicker? Is it
I
the
don't
field
know.
goal kicker's job to know when to call a timeout? I'm sure it's the coach, somebody on the coaching side job.
Yeah.
But does the field goal kicker tell the center, the long snapper, when to snap?
Yeah, you'd think
I
it would
don't
be
know.
Plaster, the holder.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be him.
So maybe he counts 1, 2, 3 and claps or something, so
I
they know.
don't know.
They
But no
have to
matter
have
what,
a cadence. They have
that
to.
yes,
But I've
that's
never seen it.
and they were lined up. It wasn't like they were rushing out there.
Right. Exactly. And we had plenty of timeouts.
Yes. Yeah.
Take one.
Take that time out and get those anyway.
Don't lose 3 points
Yeah.
from a stupid penalty like that.
I
You know,
know.
overall, we didn't have that many penalties. We had the pass interference that we still don't think was a pass
Right.
interference. Michael Tarquin lined up
Mhm.
in the backfield twice.
Mhm.
That delay of game. We had a couple false starts. But, you know, overall, we are playing a lot better with fewer penalties this year compared to last.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But whoever the special teams coach is, somebody needs to run some laps for missing that. And maybe it's the coach.
I don't know who, but
Did
don't
we
let
meet
that
him?
happen.
We didn't meet him.
I don't remember meeting him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know his name, but we need to look it up and have him on here maybe for.
Hey, guy, we'd like to have a word. Dana and I want to have a word with you, please.
Overall, special teams much better. But
Oh,
who
yeah.
messed that up, dude?
Yeah. I mean, as a kicker, too, it has to be so disheartening to see it go through the uprights and then realize that
there
you
was
got
a
the
flag.
penalty.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, you know, I mean, great. I'm glad you made that 50-yarder, but 55 is long.
It's long.
And I don't fault them for not having you kick, you know, having Keltner kick it and
Right. For coming in and punting.
right. And especially kickers get in their heads so much so sometimes that you don't want to have them have any reason to get in their head more than they need to. But coaches, pay attention to that. Be prepared.
Yes.
Call
Please.
the timeout if you need it.
Right. That we didn't need all the ones that we had. I mean, we could have if we hadn't gone ahead, but that would have put us 3 points further ahead.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But anyway, I wasn't trying to end on a bad note, so we can end on a good note again.
Well,
So
if we have
what good
Grayson
notes do you
Halton be
have?
the standout player last week, and we had R. Mason Thomas this week, who do you want to be the outstanding defensive person against Tennessee?
Okay. I want it to be one of the secondary guys because I want that to mean that they got an interception. And I don't care which one it is.
Let's let Kanai. Let Kanai Walker get an interception.
Yeah,
that he really actually catches.
We love your deflections, but this time it's going to be you.
Get it in your arms. Yes. Yes. I'm all for that.
Agreed. Works for me.
Sounds good.
I like it.
All right. We will. Well, I'll talk with you at the ball game for sure.
Yes.
On Saturday, and then we'll be back on Talk Sporty next Sunday.
We will.
And we're planning on talking about a win. That's what
right.
we need. We need a big W.
Right. Because
big W against Josh.
Like Sandra Bullock says in The Blind Side, that color's kind of hideous.
Well, right. We bleed red, not orange. Orange is yucky.
And it's On TV, I remember when we went to Tennessee, on TV, it looks okay, you know? It's not burnt orange and it's not orange like Cowboys orange, but in person, it is highlighter orange.
Yes.
It's like this.
It's a
this
strange color.
Post-it note I have right here.
Yes.
It's got a lot of yellow in it, and it kind of makes your eyes hurt.
And we want them to go home and have to get rid of it.
So yes, so that orange is not in our color wheel. So
get away.
Go
Big
home.
Red.
Go Big Red. Yes.
All right. Well, it's been good visiting with you, and I can't wait for Saturday.
Me neither.
All right, Boomer.
Sooner.
Go OU.
Woo.